Doom the Dark Ages released May 15th, 2025 for Xboxes, PlayStations, and PCs.
That was like yesterday, basically.
A month ago.
Basically yesterday.
Almost 2 months. Moving on to the story.
Lamau.
I have question marks. I don't know. Can you recap the story?
No.
Okay.
So you were front loading many negative thoughts.
I didn't even tell you that many. I just said I fucking hate this.
That was enough.
And it's gonna be spicy.
And then I was resistant to the urge.
You were like, no, I love it. It's slow and boring, and I'm actually good at this game. I want to like it.
The plot has the exact same problem that Eternal does. It's a lot of really shiny shit and like no anything. It's one of the demons wants power. That's basically it. Like the plot is. I tried.
Yeah.
I don't usually have problems.
I know you tried harder than I am, so that's why I'm kicking this one to you.
It's a bunch of scenery hopping. Like there is very little justifications before why you are in these locations. There's very little. It feels arcadey like that. It doesn't feel like a campaign very much because the explanations given for major plot points happening and the transitions between different levels and areas feels really tacked on. And then because of the way the game is made, unlike 2016, it doesn't have a lot of contextual information to kind of gather what the fuck's going on. But it also then throws a million things at the wall like Eternal did. And it's like, these are all really cool and shiny and dope. What the fuck do they mean?
A lot of the scenery technically changed, but it all felt the same.
I think that is just because there's so much of it, and I think that that's more level design, which we'll get to. Story-wise, I'm going to need to go through this again.
There was one point where I was playing, I took a break, I came back the next day, which happened a lot, and I started the level inside someone's stomach. It looked like that level out of Halo 3, and I was like, Halo 3? What? Oh, yeah, I did get swallowed by the thing yesterday, didn't I? Okay.
There's a lot of that.
And that was like the only time that I had a grip on the story.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, including the inclusions of the dragon areas and the giant mech areas. It's very like, oh shit, we're making triangles now.
Yeah.
Like, Eternal, because there was so much gameplay going on all the time, because it had more literal verticality, but like generally more systems going on, it was able to distract from the fact that the story, while had a butt ton of information, wasn't terribly coherent or interesting.
Yeah.
This one, because the gameplay is fairly stripped back and very repetitive and not that great.
You're spoiling.
I'm agreeing with you, sadly, mostly, kind of ish, but the story doesn't. The story doesn't do it.
No. I don't even know the name of the princess that we save. I don't know why we had to. I literally don't remember.
Yeah, no. Presentation-wise,
moving on to visuals, the cinematics look incredible. It's like a Blizzard game. Like the cinematics are like some of low-key the best part of the game.
Kind of, but sadly they use them way too much. Whereas, so 2016 I think had a really good balance of like controllable moments versus cutscenes, and then like cutscene transitions between levels and shit. Eternal had a lot more cutscenes, but they felt they were always so chock full of exposition and changing locations and character dies and new character. It kind of feels like that method of like a lot of shit happens all during the cutscenes. They look great, and I think that for this one they're better because the aesthetic is so much fucking better. Holy shit, I love it. Everything visually speaking about this game I'm creaming myself about, whether it's the actual in-game visuals, the cinematics, and it's got so much sauce on it.
It should.
It does in that department. I had like no visual problems whatsoever. No real pop-in textures changing.
The next thing is sound design.
so much better than the previous games. Holy shit. Please don't disagree with me. I prefer how this one sounds.
I didn't write any notes on this one. I was like,
you never do.
It sounds like Doom.
It feels like they beefed up a lot of the sounds quite substantially. I'm not entirely sure if it's just the quality of the recordings got better or what they did to them or how they're mixed in the actual game mix. But the sound design of this game, when I am in it, I'm so in it.
It sounds impactful. So like, especially
Extremely.
when Doom Guy jumps off anything taller than 2 feet, it makes the big tank landing.
Fun. Yeah, like
boom.
Unlike Eternal, whereas that was part of I think why I didn't really like the additional verticality and all the. It felt a little too zappy, bouncing around all over the place.
That's gameplay though.
But it was also paired with sound design that was like. It wasn't like tank hits wall. Yeah. Tank hits other wall.
I mean, that is your life IRL. So
that's true. I would know about that. Yeah.
My complaint on Doom Eternal was like anytime a perk was ready to use again, it made a really high-pitched pinging sound. And a lot of those notifications were high-pitched and it kind of hurt my ears. But I still like Eternal.
Yeah.
It's sound.
If I had to turn my ears off, not turn my ears off, turn my eyes off, and then just compare the three, I think I would be able to very easily tell the difference. Even if like we cut the soundtrack, just pure gameplay stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that this is definitely my favorite on that. But I think a lot of that comes from the design of, well, the general aesthetic and time period, quote unquote. And more having to design new noises for all of these new weapons and all that sort of stuff because the gameplay's so different. On that note, the score is pretty good.
Yeah.
It doesn't even try to be Mick Gordon, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
It uses some of the motifs, but like I was listening to this before I played the game.
I haven't.
I cheated.
Wow.
I was too curious. I was like, I need to know before I walk in. It has less hype moments and aura to the music, but it's still very good.
Interesting.
I've been listening to it pretty consistently.
I would say the most that I heard it was when I was in an arena and had to find the one freaking demon that still had to die. And that's when I was like, all right, I just need to hunt this little shit down. And so that's when I would notice the music and be like, oh, this is actually fun battle music.
Yeah, I think it works better in the arenas and in the cinematics, or even like the very scripted moments. During regular gameplay, I feel like maybe it's just my headphones or whatever. I do feel like the mixing definitely decreased it, but I think that was probably conscious because there is no rip and tear type moments, which I think it was a good idea not to aim for, because that you're not going to beat that. I think that that's a noble effort of trying to do their own thing. I quite like the motifs that they did use. I've listened to it's like a 30-track soundtrack. It's pretty big.
Yeah, it was like a 4-piece final.
It's big
album. Yeah.
I listened to it like twice through before I started playing it, and then I've been just kind of bouncing it around for funsies. Yeah. Generally, pretty solid. Like, I don't know what genre of metal I'd put it in, but it's good music in general. But it definitely felt like they knew they had to aim for something different, and I think that it works surprisingly well for that.
When we move on to gameplay, I'm going to show you. I color-coded my notes.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to start?
I think that I'm going to end up agreeing with most of what you're going to say. Don't let me argue it unless I actually disagree, because otherwise we're going to be here all fucking day.
Okay. And like I said, I was really, really hot playing most of it, and then I watched a video or two. The Ackman was one of them, and actually I watched his I was wrong about it video. I didn't even watch the real one, and that helped tone me down a little bit, but not entirely. Enemy spawn-in is borderline bugged, especially with limited movement. I appreciate that the game keeps easy fodder enemies respawning for easy health or armor or ammo, depending on like how you kill them. But I don't like when they drop in right behind me as I'm clearing an arena, causing a bullshit death. Some of the gore nest rooms were really rough too, it's not just me. I've seen clips online of people running around the room like waiting for the spawn, and then suddenly like a giant vagary or the Komodo drops in and just one-shots them. It seems like a very strange problem even to have, because the load screens are very, very quick. They're like almost immediate, and yet the spawn in is bullshit.
I agree. I think that less comes from where like the amount of enemy spawn placement, and it more comes from the fact that it's basically entirely horizontal maps.
Yeah.
There aren't... 2016 had a lot of enclosed spaces, even in its arenas. You had random tunnels to bump through, so it was able to hide them a lot more, or put them, coming out of, everyone, you've seen an infinite enemy generator inside a game, like a black hole in the wall. You're like, I can't go over there. There's,
Right. I'm not going to put my back against that.
Right. It had that, and then Eternal, because there were so many levels of verticality, could literally drop them. Yeah. Like wherever the fuck they went. You're like, I bet there's somewhere they came from. It felt better like that.
Yeah.
I think because almost all of these maps, including the especially the slightly open world ones, which are very not open at all, there's just nowhere for them to put them. Yeah. So instead of coming up with your classic Halo dropship type shit, or even, look, there's a cave with a hole over there, I can't go in that, like, even that, they don't put any effort into doing, so they just end up kind of being like...
Yeah, and they're right behind you and slashing you, and you're dead.
Yeah. I think that also has more to do with enemy selection. I think that the balancing on that front was my biggest aggravation in terms of death and difficulty. His games definitely are on the easier end of the three, but it also feels the most poorly balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a lot of, why is this enemy type here? Or... there's way too many cannon fodder in this room. Why is this big open area have nothing in it? Oh, there's someone behind me. Like, it has more of that problem, I think, than... Yeah, I don't know. There's something about the balancing on that one that doesn't feel like a numbers problem. It feels like a specificity thing that they didn't really hammer out enough.
They made flying a neon jet-boosted dragon boring.
Yeah, dude. I was so fucking mad.
The flying is fine. It's surprising how well it worked. But combat is basically a QuickTime event. You hold down the trigger, and you have to dodge the enemy's attack at the last second for a high-powered shot. Do that 3 times and the enemy dies. There were some ships that you could chase at high speed and shoot down, and that was probably the best thing with the dragon, but... I'm not sure. I think that they only die at set points in the map, because it felt like some of them took much longer to die than others. Like, I'm putting shots into this thing. I can hear every time my bullets hit. And it just, like, it took forever to kill some of them. There is, at the very least, something fishy about them. They took a lot of bullets.
My thing on that one was more that the mech sucks. Those were my 2 massive hype elements for this.
They made piloting a mech suit boring. How the fuck is it possible in a post-Titanfall world that somehow mechs in games can still be boring? Combat is minimized to punch, parry, and sometimes a special attack.
It looked really good, but that was it. There was no difficulty to it.
You get a gun once in the whole fucking game with your mech.
I think I was so distracted by how agitated I was with those 2 elements being so hyped up within the marketing and then so disappointing that the difficulties and qualms with the gameplay didn't bug me until the second half of the game. The first half, general gameplay wise, I like the implementation of a larger melee system by comparison to the previous 2 games. It's still so shallow, dude. It
was in last minute. The melee options, there's 3 different melee options. You can do like a super punch, or you can use the mace, or you can use the freaking Zweihander, basically.
Yeah.
And they give different perks, and you can level them up. I stuck with the mace because it gave me armor infinitely.
Yeah,
And then the same thing with the shield. The
shield was more of a navigational tool for me than a gameplay element.
4 different things I think you could throw on it. It would, if you parried, it would like pop out a gun that would shoot enemies automatically, or cause like magic runes to chase people down, or it would like split the ground and hurt enemies. And there's one more. I don't know. I used the gun the most often, I think.
Yeah, it's entirely functional, but to effectively sell the game as they did, the thing that got me so fucking hyped, other than like the visual distinctions, was the stand and fight moniker really got my jimmies going, because we have like the first game was classic run and gun, and then we had whatever the fuck Eternal had. I don't remember what the hell it was, but it was like another like 3-word little blip of what the gameplay is like, and it was like shoot and jumper. I don't fucking know. And that I wasn't a huge fan of generally. And then they really pushed it in the marketing, was like stand and fight. And ping pong around the map because all the melee shit kicks you back like 30 feet every fucking time. It was so frustrating. And there's so many reused animations. Holy shit. And they got rid of glory kills. I can't even explain why that's evil. The executions suck.
I'm okay with not having a constant stream of glory kills. It did get to be too much in Eternal. And I see what they were trying to do with this. Like every once in a while when it did a glory kill, like it would randomize a glory kill in with melee kills. It was like, oh, cool. It is a nice, 3-second breather as you're in the middle of combat.
But it's down to RNG and it's not controllable. Right. And that's what, like the fact that there's so many glory kills in, especially Eternal, right. It was your own fault as a player, kind of.
Like, but it also gives you the perk of extra ammo and shields.
Right. So you can do it all the time, but you didn't necessarily have to. It's the easier option to use, and it looks shiny. So like that'll get repetitive, but it is still because like you're still making the choice over and over again to do it. It's just it's like 1 in like every like 5 enemy kills maybe. And the execution animations are like a third of the time of a glory kill. It's so little, and it's not enough. The ones that they have animation wise look decent, but they pale in comparison.
Back to my color coded keywords.
Oh boy.
The map automatically marks where secrets are, making secret hunting a breeze and boring.
Ubisoft game ass collectibles.
Also, only in the last few levels, did they start using color-coded doors. They are really straightforward and kind of a boring slog because of the objective marker showing you where the fucking key is. I hate the Caca Demon. Oh, no, wait, that's the next point.
My general agitation with the exploration and kind of a non-combat gameplay boils down. I think the best way, it feels cheap. Well, the game, especially on the visual department, pulls so many stops to look incredible, and it generally like functions extremely smoothly. They explicitly said that they wanted to move away from an open world level design, which I appreciate because I feel like Eternal did a little much on that front, whereas it felt too open and there's too much random bullshit not to do, but there's so many ways to approach so much of it that it felt like I'd go like 8 minutes without combat, and that was kind of boring.
The open worldness was just handled weird. It felt like Destiny ass shit. Yeah.
Whereas Dark Ages, because the vast majority of the maps are flat with like mild incline changes, every like cliff face or weird rock barrier or like it felt like playing Halo 5.
Yeah.
Not that bad, but it had that similar, not necessarily there's a kill timer on every single corner, but so much of it is inaccessible. And I want to take Dark Ages systems and put it in 2016's maps. There's very little difference between but I think you could make that function at least as a working model. You could make it function because the spaces are smaller. It's fairly faster paced on that front. You have your basic movement animation type stuff, but there is a way less verticality. But that's mostly in enclosed spaces, or you're on the precipice of a fucking mountain exploding or whatever. And it's like, well, no shit, I can't jump over the. I mean, I can jump over the edge. I'm gonna die. There's nothing to do here.
Right.
this one just stops you from doing it.
I hate the Cacodemon design. It's boring.
I knew you'd hate it. I knew it.
It's boring to stand there and weave between its attacks before being able to do anything. I wasn't able to find a way to interrupt its attack. You're literally stuck waiting for him to go through the entire attack. This makes for an environment that lacks strategy.
Lamau, what is strategy?
Throwing the shield is fun and makes for some interesting strategy. I personally wish it had a kinder auto-aim. It was hard to hit some of the smaller enemies at a distance, especially the stupid fucking Revenant, who again has an uninterruptible attack pattern. I finally resorted to sticking my shield up his ass so he would sit the fuck still for a minute. It's the stupid ghost thing that just turns into a ghost that you can't hit. He just shoots you, and you can't interrupt his attack. The game feels like baby's first Doom game.
Kinda.
The guns are given to you at set points in the game. You can't find them early in the secrets. While there is some, there really isn't much strategy to working your way through hordes until the last couple of levels. Obviously use the plasma gun on the guys with the blue shields, throw your shield at the enemies with red hot shields, but then that's kind of it. You can use any of the weapons for pretty much anyone else, so just find a playstyle that works for you and do it.
That was my other largest agitation, was the... Well, in 2016, you certainly should pick half of the weapons to upgrade versus not upgrade. Mm-hmm. They all still had a place, at least every couple of levels, where like, this would have been extremely useful. They have secondary, those had secondary functions that would also then have weirder secondary functions when you upgrade them. This one's just like fucking skill points, but money. It's just money upgrades. They don't have any secondary functions. Your melee gets upgraded really easily, and then I used 2 guns.
You can play the whole game with a favorite 2 weapons, plus the plasma rifle, and just be fine. I think this is the main point that so many early voices were trying to say with, it's not Eternal. No shit, but why? And is that a good thing? In Eternal, you pretty much had to use your whole arsenal, including switching between grenade types. In this game, you can play with 2 or 3 guns and be bored the whole time.
Yeah, I only really changed them up to feel something, and then I would go back because my upgrade points were in something 2 weapons, and of course one of them with the shotgun. Like,
I had the same problem, I think, in each other game, but the weapon wheel is still finicky. You literally have to click the right bumper and then throw your stick towards the weapon. You can't do it as one motion. It's very fucking annoying. Even with it pausing time or slowing time, it would still cause so many problems of like, that's not the fucking shotgun. I need the shotgun, and I'm dead.
I didn't think I was going to be as bored playing this game as I was. Basically all of my complaints end up boiling down to is I wasn't engaged very much. I was liking what I was watching, and I was having a decent level of fun. It's not even mid. It's still like, if it wasn't being compared to 2 much, much better games, this would still be probably a pretty resounding success. It's not even poorly designed. It has some pretty large hiccups in it, but like, because we're comparing it to 2 other games, and it's the same team, so how did we get a downgrade?
It sounds like you're wrapping up, and I'm only halfway through.
Oh, fuck me.
The guns are cool. The standards like the shotgun, plasma gun, rocket launcher, and some new ones like the chain shot, the pulverizer, the Ravager, and the Impaler. It took me a while, but I think I could appreciate that you have a lot of weapons on a small weapon wheel. You have to press square or X to get the other version of the same gun. I think that's a better system than the mods in 16 and Eternal, I think, did that. For example, if you have the combat shotgun, you can press square for the super shotgun. Same thing for the grenade launcher turning into the rocket launcher. With that, I honestly can't tell the difference between the pulverizer and the Ravager. They look exactly the same side by side and fire pretty much the same. It's a cool idea, a gun that shreds skulls and uses the bits of bone as ammo, but even with it leveled all the way up, it still kind of sucks. It doesn't stun enemies, and the hordes were never grouped up tight enough for me to really find a good time to use it, especially compared to the shotgun. Anytime I used it, the really easy enemies would die quick, and then I would have to circle strafe the tough enemies for a while. Also, I didn't use the chain shot until it was fully upgraded because it was too slow to charge up in the beginning. I only started using it when to get the mastery on it, and by then it was a great inclusion in the arsenal. By today, I've mastered every weapon but 2. I just need to grind them out.
Damn. I didn't think you were gonna keep with it.
I was really close to having it all by the end of my first playthrough. I just had to go back and collect some of the missing gold or whatever. I need the 2 last Wraith Stones to get the mastery on those 2 guns, and then I'll have it. Each gun has 3 skins total. 1 you get with the gun, 1 you can find in the secrets, and a gold one for mastering that weapon. Seems like a pretty lame inclusion to only have 3 skins.
At least it wasn't monetized.
That's what I'm waiting for. Deadass. Now that all the reviews are out, I'm waiting for them to do that.
Oof.
To this day, one of the trophies is still bugged. It is purchase every weapon, shield, and melee upgrade. In one of the early patches, I got this trophy despite only being a quarter of the way through the game.
The fuck?
To be honest, though, I am very, very close to earning that trophy anyway. Like I was just saying, I need to master 2 guns, and then that's it. I'll have legitimately earned it. It's been done already, but I'm going to repeat the complaints about the God of War elements. Finding the wolves to destroy is fun. That lets you engage with the level design, but it doesn't do anything new. So whatever, I guess. Using the shield as a key sometimes is a great idea. If that meant losing the shield in combat and being able to adapt to combat without the shield, just like God of War does. Mm-hmm. Right now, you just throw the shield and do the thing, and then you call it back to yourself and move on. There's no fucking point.
I wanted interesting combat loop. I really, really wanted interesting combat loop. That's part of what I mean when I say it feels cheap, is it feels like that's a spot where you would include an in-game cinematic or something to differentiate between, gameplay moments. Instead of it, like you would have a different default stance. It would change the way, at least slightly, at least that melee weapons work. And yeah, running 8 minutes in a level while the key is doing its thing would be fucking great. Mm-hmm. But no. They really tried to sell this one on being more Metroidvania, and it's less. It's drastically less.
In closing, I was all in favor of them cutting multiplayer and whatever fun extra thing for a, quote, solid single-player experience, end quote. But with this game feeling so undercooked, it feels like that was a lie. The marketing also called this more of a bullet hell, like old Doom games, and I was excited for that. I'm not so sure I agree with that either.
No.
Most enemy fire tracks towards you. That's the piece that pissed me off so bad. Most enemy fire tracks towards you. Plus, most enemy fire clips through most cover, and your shield gets fucking tired. It is rage-inducing, especially when paired with the poor enemy spawn-in system. The only time I was like, oh wow, a bullet hell, was literally the second and third to last bosses. The big fat guy loads his big arena with bullets, and then the first time fighting the last boss. There was quite a bit of bullet hell in that boss fight. And then that's it. I wanted it to be like old school Doom bullet hell, and I never got that. It felt like the enemies still swarmed on and around me like in 16, but it just didn't work. Like you were saying with the stand and fight, it didn't feel like it was doing what they sold it as, at the very least, or what they even wanted. It
was, instead of it being a moment or two of you effectively basically stay in spot, do combat, and then because you either need to move to a different part of the map for another objective or whatever, when you get tired, you just run, and then you get tired, and then you can't run that far, and then you have to go back to it, and it doesn't.
Pretty much, if your shield got tired, you were fucked.
It kind of felt like trying to use Halo Reach. I'm doing the Halo comparisons, fuck me. But it felt like using Halo Reach's sprint in the way that you would use a traditional sprint button. Like the complaint when going backwards, like now trying to play Halo Reach, and then everyone has sprint equipped, is it doesn't function like a normal sprint would. That was never the point. The armor ability system was kind of cooked, but that was whatever. But like trying to do that now, and it just feels like a waste of time, of development time to even include it. Like, we're just going to put this on an arbitrary timer because you need to use it if your shield gets tired, and then you need to fight off more enemies, and then there's too many, so you have to move. But it doesn't do either part well. Either fighting while moving, basically you have to do it out of necessity, or being able to stand there and just beat off a lot of dudes. Like, you can't really do either. You have to bounce back and forth between both of them.
So that's your frustration with this game, is that you just couldn't successfully beat off a lot of dudes?
Basically.
Okay.
It felt like 2016 did both of them better. Like, 2016 was still extremely movement-based, but you could kind of sit there and fight a couple of guys somewhat well, and then you would move, like...
Doom has always been about circle strafing.
Yes.
Except for maybe 3.
Yes.
And you literally can't even do that in this game.
No.
I feel like a dad trying to review this game. I'm mad, and I'm also disappointed. The Dark Ages is such a cool idea on paper. This honestly feels like it needed another year to get polished and improved on. The problem isn't that nobody cared. There's care in it. There are just a lot of piss-poor choices that stack up quickly to make the game not feel great to play.